Hey, Mitch.
Oh, hey Ed, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited. We're going to be doing Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, I'm all ready for it. I got my cloak on, buddy.
No, what?
I got the book, the comic
No, no,
book,
no,
Cloak
no,
and
no, no,
Dagger.
not the comic book Cloak and Dagger, the movie Cloak and Dagger. Remember from 1984 with Henry Thomas and Dabney Coleman? But I like your cloak, but where's your dagger?
I don't have a dagger.
Oh, it's okay. I've got one.
Oh, could I see it?
Yeah, sure. Let's just start the show. Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thanks so much for joining us. If you are a regular viewer, thanks for coming back. Mitch, before we start today's topic, how can you find out a little bit more about what we do here?
Oh, Ed, it is easy as just playing a simple video game and finding out it's a key link to an espionage epic that will revolutionize the world and make us fall into the clutches of darkness. All you have to do is smash that button below, and you too will be subscribed to Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure as we go back in the past looking for TV, movies, toys, and more right here on the mighty YouTube.
And we're headed to 1984 and Cloak and Dagger. Now, this film I thought we'd do today is the top 10 things you probably didn't know about Cloak and Dagger. So we're going to speed through these today. This is a personal favorite of mine. I love this film when it came out in 1984. So, number one thing you probably didn't know is what is Cloak and Dagger? Because most people don't even remember this film, which is a bit sad. So, I've got my trusty Leonard Maltin's 2011 guide because my 80s one only goes up to 1983. Directed by Richard Franklin, starring Henry Thomas, Dabney Coleman, Michael Murphy, John McIntyre, Jeanette Nolan, Christine Nigra. And the story is a young Thomas gets involved with murderous espionage, but no one will believe him. Flawed but enjoyable reworking of The Window. Dabney Coleman's a delight in a dual role as his father and his make-believe hero. 3 stars. That's all it says about this film. I love this film as a kid. This came out 1984. I was 14 when it was coming out, and it was all about video games. Henry Thomas was basically into video games and Dungeons and Dragons, and he had this imaginary friend, Jack Flack, who was Dabney Coleman. There is some espionage. It's quite a violent film. I watched it again couple of nights ago. Kelly
Yeah.
watched it, who hasn't seen it before. She's going, "This is pretty violent for a kids' film." And go, "Hey, welcome to the '80s." That's
Yeah,
how it was,
yes,
and
it
it
was.
was really good fun. What did you think of Cloak and Dagger? Did you see this in the movies?
Well, I was disappointed because I thought it was based on the Marvel comic Cloak and Dagger, which
Which
it
came
was not.
first? Which came first?
It might have been neck and neck right around the mid 80s. But that was a whole other story. But no, this one, you like you said, it had a big video game tie-in. And I remember Atari was the king of video games at that point, even after the whole ET debacle,
Mm-hmm.
the worst cartridge ever. But there was a brand new Atari system coming out. It was like the upgrade. I
The
think it was what,
5200.
5200. Yeah. And they were really playing that up, and this was tied into that. But 84, this is when the movie studios were really trying to capture that video game fanboy audience because we had The Last Starfighter right around the same time, I believe. And then this Cloak and Dagger. And then there was another movie that was trying to cash it. Oh,
A
well,
little bit
Tron was
later was The Wizard.
the
Uh,
Wizard, and then on TV we had shows like it was like a Dungeons and Dragons type of thing with Tom Hanks was on at one point, but it
yeah,
was
that
yeah,
was it. Yep, that's right. That was the
yeah,
telemovie about the perils of Dungeons and
yeah,
Dragons.
and then there was like a Wizards and Warrior thing on channel or CBS had like a thing
Yeah,
with
Duncan
Clive
Rieger and
Reynolds.
Jeff Conaway was in that,
Yes, and
actually. I
Clive
love that
Reynolds
film.
was in it
That was
too. Yeah, yeah,
83, 84.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was all around the same time. So yeah, Cloak and Dagger. It's amazing to me it didn't have a bigger box office because it really was striking when the iron was hot. So yeah, I remember Dabney Coleman more than anything. And of course Henry Thomas was the kid from ET just 2 years earlier. So this was probably his big comeback movie.
Well, it was number two on things that you didn't know about Cloak and Dagger was that it was a star vehicle that was written for Henry Thomas, because this came
Oh,
out, obviously, E.T. came out in 1982. They were looking for something for him to do, and it was that's what they chose.
yeah.
And it made sense. He was a 13, 14-year-old kid. I think he's, my age, Henry Thomas. So he's playing this kid just like he was
Kid.
in E.T.,
Yeah.
but instead of aliens, there were Russian spies involved and
Rush.
video games. Number three, did you know it was directed by an Australian?
Well, that's why the movie was upside down here because it was
Ah,
down
that
under.
makes sense. So it was directed by Richard Franklin, who also directed, wait for it, Psycho
Crocodile
2,
Dundee.
Psycho 2, which is
Oh,
interesting. Okay,
because
because
Henry Thomas is in Psycho 2. No, he's in Psycho 3. He plays Norman Bates at one point,
he
Henry
does
Thomas.
play, or is it in Psycho 4 in 1990?
Well,
Maybe.
Psycho 2 had Anthony Perkins. I saw that in the
Yes.
theater. He hit his mom over the head with a shovel. And then they did a movie years later that explained the young Norman Bates and how he
Yes.
got that way. And the woman that was in Romeo and Juliet played his mother. Can't think of her, Olivia something. And he
Oh.
was the young Norman Bates who was just starting to get into killing.
So Richard Franklin was a big Alfred Hitchcock fan as well. This Australian
Yeah, you
director. He
could
did sort
tell.
of like I think they call it Ozploitation films, those low budget sort of films that they brought out. But he also directed FX too. So remember with
Yeah,
Brian Brown and
Ryan Brown.
Brian, was it Brian Dennehy? No, who was in
Denny, he was in that movie. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
But he also directed the Pirate movie starring
Oh
Christopher Atkins.
no.
Yep.
Christopher Atkins, the Blue Lagoon star, and also
Yep.
lives right down the street from me in Fairfield, Connecticut.
That's the one. So he directed that.
Wow.
Guess who it was produced by?
Steven Spielberg?
No, it sort of has that bit of a vibe though to it. It could be, or you think, or maybe Joe Dante or Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
Alan Carr.
From
Alan
the
Carr, who produced
Grease.
Grease,
Sir, what a
and
Xanadu?
he produced Can't Stop the Music as well.
Oh my God, the New Year's Eve special. Oh my Lord. Alan Carr has to be stopped. He's
Yeah,
dead now,
well, he
isn't
does. That was a fourth thing. The fifth thing you might not know: the couple who are, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the elderly couple in it, who are pivotal to the plot, actually were also in Psycho, the original Psycho. They
he?
played
Oh,
characters in the original Psycho.
more Norman Bates connections in this movie. Very so
Absolutely, and
yeah,
there's a lot of Hitchcock
yeah.
connections because you find out that one of the bad people in it is missing two fingers on their hand, or three fingers,
Oh,
which is
okay.
like out of the 39 Steps, Alfred Hitchcock's
Yeah.
classic, where the main villain was missing a little finger on his hand as
Mm.
well. So there's lots of connections. It is really like a Alfred Hitchcock movie for kids. There's a
Did the
great
director
stairwell
have a
scene.
did the director have a cameo in it like Alfred Hitchcock?
That's a good question. I don't know. But
Interesting.
the sixth most strange thing, well, not really strange thing or interesting thing, probably the thing you knew the most that you alluded to, was that it was made about a video game, but the actual video game for the Atari 5200, it didn't come out. It wasn't
No,
ready yet. There was an arcade game,
for a
but they
PG.
um but they didn't have an Atari 5200 version. So what they did is they just had some dummy carts, and they had the actual Atari 5200
Mm,
Atari cabinet, because it was an
mm,
arcade game, and they piped that in, and it was a pretty fun game.
mm.
Um, the
Oh,
seventh thing that you might not have known about, and you alluded to this earlier about, movies like The Last Starfighter and everything coming out. It was originally on a double bill with The Last Starfighter.
oh, there you go.
That was the
That
other sort of the main. I mean, you had Tron as well, a bit earlier on, which was all about, video games and going into a computer. But this was on a double bill with The Last Starfighter, and then probably a month later, it came out on its own.
mm.
So yeah, and that's another film which we talk about. The Last Starfighter. You can
Last Starfighter, we did that one, and we did the Tron one. We've done all these '80s video game pictures.
absolutely. The eighth interesting thing about Cloak and Dagger, it was written by Tom Holland. It was the
Oh,
last film that he wrote, but he went on to direct after that, and he's probably best known for
Right.
maybe
Fright
Fright
Night.
Night.
That's right. I love that movie. We did that in our Halloween
We
retrospective two
did as
years
well.
ago. Yeah, Fright Night's the bomb, man.
Yep.
That's an 80s thing.
Um, the other thing was that it was a remake of a story called The Window, and also The Boy Who Cried Murder. So not
Really?
Fright Night, but yes. So they
I
obviously
did not know
tweaked
that.
it to modernize it for 1984
Hmm, I did not know
audiences and
that.
things like that. And the last thing, the 10th thing that you might not know about, the score
Yes.
was written by Brian May, but not Brian
Wait a
May
minute.
from Queen.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Brian
really?
May, the classic Australian film composer, who
Oh,
is probably best known for,
the
do you know
man from
what?
Snowy River.
No, Mad
Uh,
Max and Mad Max 2.
Well, there you go. Australia's other contribution to the world of cinema.
He did a also like Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the last ones, and a few other sort of genre picks, but this was his, I suppose, the only like family friendly American blockbuster he did. But best
Mhm.
known for his Mad Max 2 score. So Brian May, not the one from Queen. That's pretty much some interesting
That's
facts about
it?
Cloak and Dagger.
Well,
There was
what about the box office? Did it make money?
It didn't do very well at all, unfortunately. It was reviewed fairly well. Like it got reasonable reviews.
Yeah,
People The standout was Dabney Coleman's performance was great playing those
he was
dual
cool.
roles, and he was really good. I liked how they made the opening, which is like out of a sort of a Mission Impossible slash James Bond film where he
Mhm,
parachutes down and then
mhm.
all he shoots people and everything, and then all of a sudden these giant like Dungeons and Dragons dice start rolling down, and then you realize that it's all part of a game, which is kind of nice. And it sort of ties in a little bit to that scene in ET where they're playing Dungeons and Dragons around the table while they're waiting for their
Did
pizza.
it have a board game?
Not that I'm aware of. There was no real merchandise. Well, again, even the Atari game didn't
Yeah.
come out until later on, so it
I don't
was
think
not.
it had any. There's no lunchbox. There's no action figures.
No.
That's about it. I don't think there's
I,
a
I
comic
I do
adaptation.
remember. I don't know if this is a false memory or what have you, but I do remember it being advertised on either the back of comics or in comic books.
No, I do remember that too. Somewhere in my 80s comics around this place, there's probably ads for the thing. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
a it's
Maybe-
actually
What?
it's a forgotten film, but it's a really fun
Yeah,
adventure
no, but
film.
84 was a tough summer to try to get anything out
Oh
there
yeah,
because you had so much competition. I mean, we had Temple of Doom, we had Ghostbusters, we had Star Trek. Good luck trying to get in there. I mean,
yeah,
every weekend there was another classic 84 movie that was coming out. So it
yes.
probably just got lost in the shuffle. I mean, not everything could have been a big movie, you know.
No, but it's a good movie. It might not have been a big movie, but it's a good movie. And again, it's quite though the bad guys are bad. They want to
Oh
kill the
yeah.
kids. They want to blow up a whole plane. They
Russian
want to they're killing people left, right. Henry Thomas gets stuffed in the boot. Oh, sorry, the what do you call it? The
trunk.
trunk. The
Yeah.
trunk of a car with his friend who's been shot through the eye.
Yeah, pretty gnarly. Yeah.
It's it's pretty full on. They trying to stab him in bright in daylight. It's crazy.
No,
Uh
Dabney Coleman was a great actor. I mean, he was, of course, he had his 9 to 5, but I knew him from a show here in the States called Mary Hartman, where he played a televangelist, a preacher, and
ah,
I think his name was like Merle Haggard, like kind of like the singer,
yep.
and or no, Merle Jeter. I'm sorry, Merle Jeter was the name, Reverend Merle Jeter, and Deborah Lee Scott played his wife, and he was a great actor. Did a lot of stuff. He had that TV show years later about the sports columnist
He
with
only just
Buffalo Bill.
passed away earlier this
Yeah,
year, I believe.
Joanna Cassidy was in that show with him. Yeah, but no, he was always a dependable guy. You saw
I
Dabney Coleman, you always got your money's worth with him.
You
It's like
did,
he never
and
did a
and I
bad thing.
remember him also from 1984, that same year, from The Muppets Take Manhattan.
There you go.
He had a great little cameo as a talent agent,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he goes full violent on the Muppets as
No, he was a great actor. I mean, he had that little mustache. He just
yeah,
had a certain look to him. As soon as you saw him, oh, Dabney Coleman.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah,
And
very good indeed.
Thomas, you're like you said, it's a good cast actually. So
It is, and you can get it on streaming. They did do I think a DVD release, obviously a VHS release, but you can
yeah.
just rent it like I did on Apple TV. It's on YouTube movies as well and things like that. It's definitely well worth a watch. You know what else is worth a watch, Mitch?
And the two of us said
Yeah,
the
that's
two of us.
right.
Yeah, I mean, not just me. I mean, movie star looks.
Well,
But all you got to do, Ed,
mhm.
if you want to watch more of us, is simply gather up your Atari, grab your joystick, get your Funyuns out,
Oh,
drink your Jolt Cola, and just lock onto a TV and watch as you and I just dust up those brain cells and go remember what it was like to be a kid in the 70s and 80s and watch all this stuff all over again. And maybe we jostle something loose and you go, hey, I think I remember that. And then we'll
yep.
go out and watch it. That's what we're here, Ed. We are your guides to the days of long gone past. That's what we are. We're
I
the
like that.
guardians of
That's it.
forever. We are. We're that big
That's it.
white hole in Star Trek.
All
People
right.
can
Oh,
go through us.
like the Nexus? What do you? Oh, you know the one they jump through. Is
Yeah,
that
the
in
one
a?
they
Is
jumped
that a
through. Yeah.
mock time? I can't remember.
No, that was the City on the Edge of Forever,
Oh, okay.
written by Harlan Ellison,
It was before my time.
starring
It was
Joan
before my
Collins
time.
as Edith Keeler. I was like a year old when that happened.
You got a good
It's
memory.
classic. It's one of the best Star Treks ever.
We haven't done Star Trek, have we?
We
Done
did
Star
some of
Trek
the
too.
movies. We did the motion. We did Star Trek 2. I don't think we did it the shows or anything like that. Hey
I've
man,
got I've
I'm
got a
still waiting
Star
for
Trek
Beast.
Next Generation uniform just ready to go. I just
Oh, I
jump in
bet
at a
you
moment's
do. And I
notice.
got some action figures around there. I'm just waiting for Beastmaster. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well,
Mark
I'm
Singer, Rip Torn, Tanya
this is what I'm
Roberts.
waiting for.
Oh
Dragon
yeah.
Slayer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. With that little guy that's in Ally McBeal, Peter McNichol. He's
That's right,
everywhere.
and Ghostbusters too.
And Diana Meyer, maybe Minoff. She was the girl that was
Oh,
disguised as a boy.
Dinah Manoff
No, you're thinking of the one that was in
from Greece.
no, that's Dee Dee Khan.
Yeah, Dee Dee Con was in, but
Yeah,
wasn't
no, but
Dinah
Dinah
Manoff?
Manoff was the daughter of another famous actress who's in that movie. And then the other guy,
Spoilers.
Ralph Richardson, is in that movie. Sir Ralph Richardson.
And it's a Disney film.
Was it a Disney movie?
Pretty much. I think it
Oh,
was Buena Vista.
and that was the movie that they used Go Motion technology, which is what they're going to use on the Rancor by Phil Tippett. And the Dragon looked a lot better here than the freaking Rancor did in Return of the Jedi. But we digress.
Should I just cut this bit off?
Why don't we just do a
put this out
Dragon
as-
Slayer? I mean, that's I have the comic book over there, and
I know,
I like
I know.
All
right,
anyway, we'll do Dragon Slayer next time, even though we already.
We will.
They got a
good.
lunchbox.
So signing off. This is Ed Dollister,
This is Mitch Halleck.
and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.